You will never succeed! You can't get past me!
The spark of hope.
To Be Hero X, this was episode number 5, and my friends, I think this was the secret sauce. I think this was the second best episode of the season. I think episode 1 was a killer episode. I think that was like a best showing of what the show could be. I think this was the second best showing of the season so far. And hear me out. One of the greatest strengths I think that To Be Hero has is the world that it built, right? The world of anybody can be a hero. And it's not like the cheesy, like when My Hero Academia, when they, when you have Midoriya say, anybody can be a hero, this is legitimately like anybody can be a hero if somebody believes in you. And I think that is a perfect basis for how to build out a world. So instead of following Nice, right? Instead of following our main character who is Nice, this instead pivots to a whole separate character. And this whole separate character, we kind of go through in just one episode, we go through his story arc. Essentially, he had a very Batman moment where, his parents were killed by villains, whatever it is. And he was saved by somebody who, I forget what the hero name was, but he gets saved by a hero, and ever since then, not only did he already idolize said hero, he continues to idolize and wanting to be, somebody like him, especially in a world where heroes are so renowned and so commonplace. It makes sense that most folks aspire to either be in the hero industry, a hero themselves, so it makes sense. So it follows him through his journey and his path, and so much so that he has gigs to where he is playing as this character. And eventually he's able to make friends with a little kid who's trying to help him out, and that little kid ends up being the friend of his sister, and the sister is the girl that he's been liking for forever. And then they hit us with the old, the old as time anime trope to where he can't confess unless he accomplishes something, which is always so stupid. Friends out there, if you like a boy, if you like a girl, just tell them. You don't need to go and pass a test. You don't need to go and win a championship. You don't need to go and make it into a school. You don't need to get a job. You don't need to do anything. If you like somebody, tell them immediately. Because either you're going to get that reciprocated and you can now start a new love, or you're going to get turned down, and it's better to do it quicker than later. So either way, just do it. You don't need to go and win a tournament. You don't need to go and make a team. You don't need to go and win a game. You don't need to do none of that. Like, please, for love of God, you don't need to do anything. If you like somebody, just tell them up front. I've never, ever, ever been like, oh, I'm going to confess to her, but I got to get 100 on a math test, or I got to pass this class, or I need to, get an A on the exam that she helped me study with, or I got to make the team, or, we got to make the state champion. I've never, that thought has never in my entire life crossed my mind. I think that's so dumb and so silly. So I hate when I constantly see it in anime. But he has that moment, he's like, I got to accomplish this, X, Y, Z. Anyways, it ends up working out for him at the end because he ends up coming in and having to save her little brother. The bigger question is why did somebody want her little brother to be kidnapped? That's the bigger question. My guess, if I had to put money on it, would be that the guy who keeps showing up in her life, I guess he's probably like a villain or something. He's trying to orchestrate something. That would be my guess. Outside of that, though, if that's not the case, I really don't know why that little kid specifically is being targeted, because he's just a kid. Regardless, though, he's able to save him, and because the little kid believes in him, it gives him the power, and he's able to, show other people, and they're able to record it and stuff. So this is now going to kind of start his new hero journey. Who knows if he'll be a new hero himself, similar to how our boy last week is now from nice to the commoner. But I think it was really cool, and I think that's the money shot for this show, is begin not completely transitioning, but begin pivoting and bringing in other characters in this vast world. Of course, I still want to know what happened to Xiao, because she got, in the head last week. But regardless, I think it's still really cool. They also mentioned, I think, a singer called Lucky Scion this week as well too. So if I had to put money on it, my money, if I was a betting man, I would bet that that specific singer hero character is going to come into play as well. All right, those are my thoughts on To Be Hero. This was a fantastic episode. It was episode 5. I'll see you guys next week for episode 6 to talk about it more. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I think this was a 9 out of 10 episode. It was fantastic. I was really, really entertained this week. All right, I'll see you then, my friends. Peace.